Hello everyone, it's Chris again. Here I am on another call. We've got another call to go out and deliver and transport a container, storage container in this case. We've already transported 2 containers already to this location. Now we're going for the third one. This is a little bit unusual, so I'm going to put the video together to kind of document my process. It is out in Corbett. As you guys know, Corbett, Oregon is very hilly, very wet, very treacherous, so stay tuned. Found the container, and now I'm backing up here to line it up with the exact edges so that way it's an easy tilt and winch up on the deck. Here I am. As you can see, the deck is tilted to the left because of the slope, but this is the best we can do, so here we go. Here's the view from the back of the truck, lining up with the container. On both sides there's equipment and lawnmowers on both sides of the container, so we had to get the trailer perfectly lined up so we can tilt it and anchor the container. The container in this case was sitting on the ground directly onto the gravel, so rather than using a jack, I used the trailer itself to adjust positioning and actually shift completely underneath and lift the container up. Then as you can see here, I'm moving the bed back and forth, up and down, trying to get it in position. Now I'm opening and pulling my winch cable itself to hook the straps and the J-hooks that I've already attached on the corner of the container. I'm pulling out the winch cable, and we're gonna hook up the 2 straps that I've got around the J-hooks that you can see here. This container is a light container, it's not a heavy container, so these 2 J-hooks on the edge with the 2 straps should do the trick to tilt and pull. And here I am trying to adjust the bed itself to lift the container off the ground, because at this point, once I tighten that winch cable, that container is tight, doesn't go anywhere, and the bed itself, tilting it, lifts the whole container off the ground, as you can see. After lifting it off the ground, I placed a chalk block underneath and then was able to scoot directly underneath it. Here I am now with the bed completely flat, allowing the container to shift a little bit, some of that space, so I can put a chalk block, a round hole essentially, directly underneath it. And then I'm going to hook up the J-hooks with the straps and tighten that winch and lower the bed, so that way the container now rests onto the actual roll pole that is directly underneath it. The reason for this is I don't want the container to scrape my bed, and as you can see, I'm tilting the bed so it's the angle of the container, and the container can rest directly onto that round pole that's directly underneath it. And with the help of the winch, I slowly winch it forward as the pole kind of guides it upwards I move off the bed, and then I'm going to go here get another pole to position directly underneath the backside, or halfway through the backside, and then I shift that guy underneath there as well. And then between the two poles that are round, the container kind of glides on to the bed itself, so it does not dig into my bed, into my wooden bed, and allows smooth transitioning forward as the winch still pulls it forward. Again, this is a light container. It's probably 28 to 3,000 pounds. There is some cargo inside, but not a lot. So it's very easy for me to maneuver, especially with that big size 25-foot deck that tilts. So here I am winching it forward. It's easy and gently moving forward. However, you'll see here there will be a slight delay, or a little bit of problem, because the poles, as you can imagine, they kind of glide and then they shift out of the way as the container moves forward. So now I'm locking the bed in place so it stays put, and then I'm going to get a 2x4, which I'm going to place directly in front of the pole, the round pole, and directly underneath the front side of the container. Now keep in mind, this is a light container. It's not very heavy, so I'm only using the winch and the bed to support it, so it does not slide away. Keep in mind the round poles allows that container to shift, but now I'm bringing that 2x4 and I'm placing that in front of it, and still using the poles to glide the container forward. Eventually it's going to rest on that 2x4, the front. Again, I'm keeping some spacing between the bed and the container so it does not dig into my bed, right? So the 2x4 essentially creates a baffling space between the bed and the container frame, or the supports that could damage my bed. So with that in mind, I've repositioned the container halfway, almost halfway, a little past the halfway point on the bed, and I'm about now to grab another 2x4 and placing that in the rear. Again, this is a light container. I always work with a catch rope or a catch chain, especially when it's heavy. Here I am putting the 2x4 on the back, and now I'm about to try to get the round poles from underneath it. However, as you can imagine, the round poles are going to be a little tight to squeeze out, and so here I am going to get the round pole, trying to pull that out. Unfortunately, it's a little stubborn and it does not want to slide out. It's a little bigger than the 2x4s, obviously, and so it's the container is resting a little bit on it. So to fix this problem, generally you'll relift the container back up and slide the round poles with a jack if you want, or you can tilt the bed and that will also do the same thing. But because it's really not that difficult, I'm here just jacking enough a little bit, because the container is light. Again, keep in mind it's light. I'm jacking the container up and then slightly shifting the round pole out until it shifts completely away from the container. So now I'm going to move it and place it for storage onto my truck, as I'm going to need to use it again. Considering the container is now shifted and sitting directly onto the 2x4s, it's more stable than obviously on a round pole, right? So that's crucial, because otherwise it will shift around. The 2x4, essentially it's flat, and so it's resting on that now onto the bed itself. It's not touching the bed, it's not scraping the bed, it's sitting baffled between the 2x4 and the bed. And now I'm about to shift it still a little bit forward, just enough that I'm comfortable with the positioning onto the bed itself before I begin strapping it down. So here it is, completely. Now keep in mind, I had to maneuver around these things, these tools, these equipment, without touching them, without scraping them, without damaging them, and still managed to get the container. I didn't want to move. You couldn't really move that ATV on the other side, and then the two lawnmowers on the other side, because I didn't have the keys for them. So we managed to make it happen, and got it up on the bed, positioned it perfectly as I really wanted it to be. And then, as you will see shortly, I strapped it down in various points. Here's my other round pole. I'm going to place that for safe keeping, as I'll be using that later. And now I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect essentially the J-hooks and the straps, and then begin strapping it and securing it down to the bed. As you can see here, also I got one of those totes. I'm delivering the tote to the customer as well, but I've not only chained the front and the back and ratchet binded, but also anchored the corner points as well and the lower section, so it's pretty secure. And with that in mind, time to go down the hill. Here we go.